The Champions League is undoubtedly the greatest prize in club football, and to some, it even rivals the World Cup in terms of its importance. Lifting the trophy remains a dream for any footballer, with the tournament allowing the best teams and players on the planet to compete and be crowned the creme-de-la-creme of Europe. Such are the tight margins between the top stars in the continent that Champions League success is often a key point of discussion when examining a player's legacy. Unfortunately, a staggering number of top-tier ballers have failed to get their hands on old big years since the European Cup was rebranded as the Champions League in 1992. Some of these legends couldn't get over the line in the latter stages of the competition, while others simply weren't part of sides that were strong enough to challenge for the trophy. Welcome to Football Attitude's 11 great footballers who never won the UEFA Champions League. Fabio Cannavaro. One of only 3 defenders to win the Ballon d'Or alongside Germans Franz Beckenbauer and Matthias Sammer, Italian great Fabio Cannavaro won 7 trophies in his career but never the Champions League. A World Cup winner in 2006, the 5'9" centre-back proved time and again that you don't need to be tall enough to command the backline. Yet, despite playing for Parma during the peak of the European powers in the late 1990s, and subsequently Inter, Juventus, and Real Madrid, a Champions League winner's medal went missing from Cannavaro's collection. He won the UEFA Cup/Europa League in 1999 with the Giallo Blue, however, which remains his only continental triumph. 10. Roberto Baggio. If Cannavaro established himself as one of the best defenders, Baggio established himself as one of the best forwards of his generation. The Divine Ponytail, as he was fondly called, won the Ballon d'Or and FIFA World Player of the Year in 1993. Described as a 9.5, namely a player whose role lay halfway between that of a forward and a midfielder, the Italian represented the likes of Fiorentina, Juventus, and the 2 Milan clubs, with his goal-scoring returns never diminishing despite changing clubs regularly. Similar to Cannavaro, Baggio could only win the UEFA Cup in 1993, and despite playing for the top clubs in Italy, he never got to taste Champions League success. 9. Francesco Totti. Completing the hat-trick of great Italian players to never win the Champions League is none other than Francesco Totti. A symbol of loyalty and passion, the 8th King of Rome, as he was nicknamed by the fans, was a one-club man who never played for anyone else but his home club AS Roma since making his professional debut in March 1993. Totti's Champions League debut would come 8 years later in the 2001-2 season, but didn't take part in a knockout tie until 2006-7, the campaign in which Roma were thrashed 8-3 on aggregate by Manchester United in the quarterfinals. The attacking midfielder never made it past the quarterfinals during his time with Roma, but at least he's got something to brag about, as he became the oldest goalscorer in Champions League history when he bagged against CSKA Moscow in 2014 at the age of 38 years and 59 days. Apart from his 5 club trophies, Totti's biggest achievement would probably be when he helped Italy win the 2006 World Cup as the tournament's top assist provider with 4 to his name. 8. Pavel Nedved. Winning 3 Serie A titles and a Cup Winners' Cup in his time with Lazio and Juventus, major honors at European and international level always just eluded Nedved. His Czech Republic side were on the wrong end of the first ever golden goal against Germany in the final of Euro 96. In 2004, they were the best team in the tournament, but somehow, like everyone else, came unstuck against eventual winners Greece in the semi-final. The closest Nedved ever came to winning the Champions League was in 2003, but his Juventus side were edged out by AC Milan in an all-Italian clash. The midfielder played no part in the final as he was suspended, but 7 months later he was awarded the 2003 Ballon d'Or for his overall performances. 7. Lothar Matthäus. In Diego Maradona's autobiography El Diego, the football great described Lothar Matthäus as the best rival he's ever had. Such words from a titan like Maradona should tell you all you need to know about the German legend. In a glittering domestic and international career, Matthäus won 7 Bundesliga titles, a league title in Italy, and captained West Germany to the World Cup trophy in 1990. In Europe, however, despite spending 12 seasons playing in 2 separate stints at Bayern Munich, the midfielder was unable to win a single European Cup, the Champions League. Matthäus was a losing finalist in 1987 when FC Porto defeated Bayern, and 12 years later was also on the receiving end of a painful defeat in the famous 1999 final when Man United scored 2 late goals to break Bavarian hearts. 6. Eric Cantona. Cantona was the vital piece in the Sir Alex Ferguson jigsaw as United won 4 Premier League titles in the 5 seasons that the Frenchman played for the club. The only year they didn't win, he was suspended following an outrageous incident with a Crystal Palace fan. Unfortunately, in unexpected fashion, Cantona retired from the sport after the 1996-97 season at only the age of 30, just at the time that the Red Devils were building towards their first European triumph since 1968. 2 years later after his retirement, Manchester United won the Champions League after a classic remontada against Lothar Matthäus and Bayern to cap off a historic season's treble. Despite his brilliance in the Premier League, the enigmatic Cantona largely struggled to translate his domestic form to the continental stage, and it's curious to wonder whether United would still have triumphed in Europe with the attacker in their squad.
I guess we'll never know.
5. Dennis Bergkamp. The impressive Dutchman won 3 Premier League titles and 4 FA Cups with Arsenal and had already tasted success on the European stage with 2 UEFA Cup wins each at Ajax and Inter in 1992 and 94 respectively. Yet the continent's biggest prize proved a challenge for Bergkamp, who frequently sat out Champions League away games due to his fear of flying. The final Arsenal game before his retirement was the 2006 Champions League final, when the forward was an unused substitute in the Gunners' defeat by Barcelona. Bergkamp was also part of the Arsenal side that reached the last 8 in 2003-04 when City rivals Chelsea ran out 3-2 winners on aggregate in the London derby. 4. Sergio Aguero. Aguero is the all-time top goal scorer for Manchester City and was a cornerstone of the club's ascendancy to the football domination they currently enjoy. The Argentina striker won a ridiculous 15 trophies with the citizens, but the Champions League was the one that eluded him. It seemed like he would finally clinch the trophy in the 2020-21 season, his last with City, as they reached the tournament's final for the first time. On that special night in Porto, however, City were defeated 1-0 by fellow English club Chelsea, with the devastated Aguero having played his final match for the Sky Blues. Things would go from bad to worse as months later the City legend would be forced to retire while playing for Barcelona after he was diagnosed with cardiac arrhythmia, which is when the heart experiences irregular heartbeats. A sad end to what had been a glorious career for both club and country, the Champions League title could have been a crowning moment for one of the deadliest strikers of the game. 3. Zlatan Ibrahimović. Ibrahimović holds the unwanted record of making the most Champions League appearances at 124 without ever lifting the trophy. The Swede is also the 11th highest goal scorer in the history of the tournament. An almost man, the extraordinary Ibrahimović left Inter a year before they won it in 2010, before doing exactly the same thing at Barcelona, who went on to win it in 2011. He also represented and won titles at Ajax, Juventus, AC Milan, PSG, and Man United, winning the Europa League with the latter, but never got his hands on the big prize. Even after prolonging his playing career until the age of 41, Ibrahimović sadly ran out of time and opportunities to claim the Champions League. He finally called it quits after he announced his retirement from football following Milan's final game of the Serie A season in June 2023. 2. Ronaldo Nazário. Considered by some as the greatest striker of all time, Ronaldo Nazário had everything you needed from a striker and more. PSV, Inter, Barcelona, Madrid, and Milan are among the forward's former teams, but the man who was named the best player in the world in 1997 and 2002 was never able to scoop club football's top prize. R9 managed to win the Cup Winners' Cup with Barca and the UEFA Cup with Inter in a club career that saw him bag 352 goals in 518 games. A career that also saw him become the second highest World Cup scorer with 2 trophies won, together with 2 Copas America as well. The Champions League became the only trophy the phenomenon failed to acquire. 1. Gianluigi Buffon. One of the greatest between the sticks, Buffon has been playing the game since 1995 and is still going strong at the age of 45. Unfortunately for the 2006 World Cup winning goalkeeper, the Champions League still remains all but a dream. Buffon was on the wrong end of 3 UCL final defeats with Italian giants Juventus, losing to Milan on penalties in 2003, then watching Barcelona run out 3-1 winners in 2015, followed by a 4-1 loss to Real Madrid in 2017. He even moved to PSG in a bid to win the trophy, but returned home empty-handed a year later. Now back at boyhood club Parma, his chances at the trophy are completely done, as his best years at the top are very much behind him.